Welcome to the Intellectual Freedom Movement. I'm your host, Harvey Dent, and today I want to talk about the U.S. remedy. Where is it written that the United States has to offer remedy for wrongfully enslaving all of its citizens by signing them into this false-ass birth certificate and this false-ass reality where we're all locked into contracts? Why would they have any kind of guilt or feel any kind of obligation to make right what they've done is so wrong? While in reality, they are dictators and slave masters and manipulators and liars and game players. In their social circles, they want to appear as though they are lawful. They have a certain image that they have to uphold. We are willful slaves. We are willing slaves. We volunteer for slavery. You know how they justify that? They justify that by putting the laws right in front of our eyes that we can use to achieve remedy. But they never tell us about it. So whose fault is it that we never know? Is it theirs for not pointing us in the direction to our freedom? Or is it ours for never taking it upon ourselves to educate ourselves and pursue our own freedom? Because believe it or not, the United States does have someone to answer to. They have to answer to the United Nations, which they are a part of. And the United Nations has its own set of rules that, of course, the United States is able to navigate and work around, with little details and, word plays here and there. But on the surface, the United Nations set of rules seems pretty straightforward. It's the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, this is supposedly adopted by all the members of the United Nations, all the nations that are members of the United Nations, and is supposed to be adhered to by all those members. And by my showing this information to you here does not mean that I am in agreement with the United Nations goals or their objectives or their total world control by one government. And I'm not into that. But these little rights that they've written out for us or for the world seem pretty straightforward, and it seems like the United States pretty much abides by them all, except for there's a couple that they may call into question. Let's go over. There are 30 articles of the rights document, but we're just going to cover the first 10, and then later, if I feel a need to go in the next 10 or the next 10, then we will. But right now, I think the first 10 pretty much covers our basis on what we're focused on here. Article 1. All human beings, which by the way means monster in some definitions, are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. That's why I'm always calling y'all brothers and sisters, because I knew this before I even read the article. That anyone I see, any man or woman, boy or girl I see, those are my brothers and sisters of this land. You are my brothers and sisters of this land. And it's not because the UN says so. It's because I say so. And God says so. Right? Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national, social origin, property, birth, or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political jurisdiction, blah, 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 blah. Basically, everyone got all rights. Everyone has the same rights. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you practice, what you do, what you say. You have the same right as me, and that's just the way it should be. Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the security of person. Uh-oh. There's that word. Person. Wow. Alright, Article 4, and this is my personal favorite one right here. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. That means picking up some people and throwing them on a ship and dragging them across the world to another country to make them slaves. That means tricking people into signing their kids over at birth to the state and making them debt slaves for their entire lives, repaying for shit they've already paid for in an economy where the entire country is bankrupt. They're still expected to pay when you can't pay anything in bankruptcy. That's slavery. So how is the United States getting away with this, or the other countries that are doing it? How are they getting away with this? Why doesn't the UN come and say, we know you have slaves and you're doing this. This is wrong. We'll get into that later. Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. But Donald Trump is already considering breaking this one. He's talking about he wants to go back to torture and waterboarding, and he just killed a little girl over in the Middle East right after Obama killed her 16-year-old brother a while ago, and then she ended up in a bombing that Trump ordered, and she got killed. So that's kind of Article 6. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. There's that word again, person. Now, I'm sure that those that authored this declaration know the lawful meaning of that word, the legal meaning of the word person. See, person can be a human being or an individual or a company, an entity, a joint venture. That makes no sense. All right, Article 7. All are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law and are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. So, no more N-words, no more F-words, no more S-words. Whatever you use, stop discriminating against people. Who cares what people are? They're people. They're men and women. Leave them alone. Article 8. This is my favorite one here. Everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights granted him by the Constitution or by law. So that is where they have to offer remedy for the crimes that they've done against our human rights by enslaving us all and tricking us all into slavery. They have to offer us remedy in order to be seen as right by the law that everyone else is adhering to. And they do. They just don't tell y'all. All right, we're going to round out these last two pretty quickly. Article 9. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. All right. And Article 10. Everyone is entitled to full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations and of any criminal charge against him. So that's the first 10 articles of this document that was put out or published by the United Nations some time ago. It was at least 30, 40 years ago. It was a long time ago. But even back then, they were laying the groundwork for what they saw as being a fair, world society. And now whatever government, whatever the government uses in order to weave its way in and out of the law and make whatever morally wrong act they're doing legally acceptable, that's on them. But don't be looking for the United Nations to demand that the United States start showing all its citizens how to become free, because the United Nations is as strong as it is because of the citizens' blood that has been fueling the funds feeding it. So no one's here to help us. No government agency, no government entity is going to help us. We have to help ourselves, and that's what this is all about, is us helping each other. We don't need them. Do we need a government over us that's using us? Hell no. Do we need a bunch of forces or police forces telling us how fast we can drive and, to not steal from someone or not kill someone, not beat the shit out of someone in the middle of the street until they can't walk anymore? Do we need forces to tell us that? No. What do most disagreements occur over? What do most confrontations occur over? Usually it's over money. More often than not, it's about money. Or some show of disrespect or dishonor, which in old days was settled by let's go let's go throw down and go out in the street and knuckle up. Ain't no one got to die over it. I'm too old to be fighting, but that's back when you're 18 to 22, 23, man, knuckle up. Shit, who cares if you get whooped? It's better to get your ass whooped than get shot. Right? Well, I hope this video has answered your questions, if you had any, as to why would this government, who has tricked us all into slavery, even consider doing something that would, be called a remedy for us? Well, because without law, without the law of God, which is don't harm anyone or anything, the world would be chaos. And without their laws, we wouldn't have a civilized society according to them. And how civilized would they be if they were violating our human rights and not offering us remedy for knowingly doing so? Gotta hold them to it. Well, if you like what I'm doing here, why don't you go ahead and click that like button? You know you want to like it. Subscribe, share, comment, dislike. Do something so your brothers and sisters know that you're alive out there. Until you find your truth, keep looking.